Ah, is that weird? That was probably a little weird. That's right, you read the thumbnail correctly and you saw the title of this video. I did it. I officially bought the red Komodo 6K. And I'm gonna tell you guys in this video why I personally think it is the best buy I could have made in 2020. What's good, creative fan? Brandon Washington here, and I am super excited. I'm just absolutely pumped about this camera purchase. As some of you guys may have known, not too long ago, I did a little mini review on the Stormtrooper edition of this camera, and I talked about all the awesome specs and all the great features and why I really liked the camera. And I knew after that video that it was only just a matter of time until I picked up this guy. And I absolutely love this camera. Now, me saying that, I will tell you that no, this is not the perfect camera for everyone. However, it is a camera that I knew I really wanted to pick up, and really for just one really important reason. But in typical YouTube fashion, I've got to add just a little bit of drama. And so I'll give you guys 3 very practical reasons why I picked up this camera, and then I'll tell you really the main reason why I bought this camera. So the first main practical reason why I bought this camera was Red RAW. As a lot of you guys may be familiar, may not be familiar, but when it comes to shooting on Red cameras, one of the biggest benefactors is that Red RAW codec. It was really like the first RAW codec that became easy to use for most filmmakers. And that ease of use is the main reason why I lean to it. See, the Red RAW works in pretty much all editing suites, including Final Cut Pro 10, which is where I do most of my editing. Now, yes, a lot of you guys know I shoot on Blackmagic. In fact, I'm actually shooting this A-roll on a Blackmagic camera. But the problem I have with Blackmagic cameras is that Blackmagic RAW can only be handled inside of DaVinci. Now, DaVinci is a great piece of software. However, it's just not my personal favorite piece of software to do my editing in, just because of the way I like to work. It's not a bad software, it's just not for me. And so I love the fact that Red RAW gives me the ability to use it inside of Final Cut Pro 10. The other reason why I really love Red RAW is the fact of how much latitude it gives professional colorists. Now, I am not a professional colorist. However, I do plan on, in the year 2021, starting to work with professional colorists, sending my footage off to them so that way they can really grade the footage the way I want it to be done and do it with that professional touch. See, I'm not going to learn the software or really have the time to learn the software in order to do that. So I'm definitely interested in starting to look for a professional colorist, and I want to make sure I give them the best possible image I can. And personally, I think Red RAW is going to allow me to do that. Now, the second practical reason why I picked up this camera here is because it has SDI. Now, if you don't know what SDI is, it's basically like HDMI, just a more professional version. See, SDI not only uses a better codec cable, but it also has better connections. And the other main reason why I like working with SDI over HDMI is when you're working with wireless video transmitters, you get less of a delay. See, some of you guys maybe remember when I reviewed this guy here. This is the Hollyland 400Ss, and yes, it has an HDMI port on it, but it also has an SDI port right down here. And anytime you go out of HDMI for a wireless transmitter, you're always gonna get a delay. Typically that delay, the fastest it can ever be, is 0.06 seconds. SDI is typically going to allow you to have better latency. So what this means is that now you can actually use a wireless monitor for pulling focus, but also just when doing director's monitor setup, you're gonna get a more real world experience. And the third practical reason why I decided to go with the Red Komodo was specifically for this form factor. This perfect little box form factor gives me the ability to do something like this where I actually rig it out on rails with a cinema lens, a monitor, a side handle, batteries, but I can also really just scale it down to something much smaller and easier to throw onto a gimbal. You know, most of the cinema cameras that I've worked with have been really big, bulky designs, even from the previous Reds. Now, they are boxy, but they're still very big and bulky, and the same thing kind of comes into play when using other cinema cameras like C200s. The C70 is a little bit better, and we'll really talk about that in a future video, as I have been testing out that camera, and spoiler alert, I'm really loving that camera too. But I will say that this design overall, to me, seems to be the best on-set camera design because it's small, it's boxy, it's easy for me to move around. If I want to go handheld like this, I absolutely can. Or if I want to put it on a tripod and film with it from a tripod, it works really well in that situation. And ultimately, everything that I'm able to capture from this camera here, it just does a really, really solid job. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, that is 3 of the practical reasons why I picked up this camera, but there's really one main reason. There's only one real reason why I decided to pick up this camera, and that's just really because I wanted it. See, Red, when I was first getting started in the video production world, it was like the clout. It was like the top of the top. Alexa was so far out of range, like it was almost unobtainable. It wasn't even like a dream, but Red always felt like something that you could acquire. And as I've continued to work hard over these years, and with technology getting better and the prices of cameras coming down, it now actually felt like the first time I could get my hands on a Red camera, purchase it with confidence, but not only purchase it with confidence, but purchase it and be able to actually use it without having to spend a ton of money on accessories and really change my overall workflow. See, I know that there's a lot of people out there who say, well, the Red is just as good as the next camera. And honestly, most people are probably right about that. But what I will say is that there is something special about having a camera that inspires you to want to go out and shoot. Like, it's been a very long time since I've actually gone out to a client project and was excited about filming it. See, I do video production as my full-time job, which means there's a lot of jobs that I go and do that aren't the most exciting jobs ever, but I have to do them because it's my job. It's what I do, and it's what, you know, kind of brings in money for the family. But this camera has really kind of almost reawoken that excitement to go out and film. And whether I'm filming for a client or I'm going to film for myself, it really just makes me excited to go out on set and use it. On top of that, the images, that I can't really explain it, but they just have something that it's just a little bit different when you're shooting on Red. I can't really explain what it is, and I'm really trying to figure it out. That's why I've been testing out the C70, because that's another camera that I really love, but I'm trying to figure out what is it that makes the Red footage just look so different. You know, I personally don't think that everyone should buy a Red. I think a lot of people actually probably shouldn't purchase a Red because you can get a lot more out of something like a C70 with built-in NDs and all of the programmable buttons and the autofocus and everything else. However, I will say that there is something very, very unique and special about having a camera that actually inspires you to want to go out and film. Because at the end of the day, if you're not inspired to go out and film, you won't do it with passion. And when you don't do it with passion, it shows in the work that you produce. And so that's honestly the way that I have personally been feeling. And since I've been going out and filming with this camera, that passion has been reignited and I am super excited. And so that's what I would tell you. Yes, the red Komodo is awesome. No, having red on the side of your camera will not book you any more jobs. Although I will say that if you are more passionate and you're more excited to go out and film with said camera because you actually have that logo, because it means something to you, and ultimately because of that, you go out and create some of your best work ever, then yes, you will get more jobs in that situation. But this has just been my quick breakdown. I'm really excited about the 2 jobs that I've already shot on the red. I'm loving the footage from those. I'm excited to shoot more jobs, more passion projects on this camera in the near future. And ultimately, yeah, I think it is a awesome camera. But thanks so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because I do have a lot of content dropping on this channel. Like for example, as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna be reviewing the C70, gonna be testing that up against the red Komodo. And on top of that, I did just pick up the new DJI gimbal. So yeah, there's a lot of content to be coming out really soon on the channel. So hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm not getting emotional. My eyes have just been bothering me since I've been cutting the grass. I promise. I just love this camera.